Hello everyone, and welcome to this long-awaited any percent personal best. Now before we get started, I wanted to quickly mention that if any moderators are watching or anyone else who just doesn't want to hear the commentary and just wants to see the gameplay with the game audio itself and also including the other parts of the session, like the full recording, that will be linked down below at the top of the description, and just click the first timestamp if you want to skip through the full recording and just go straight to the start of the run. Now, any percent. Any percent. What a love-hate relationship I have with this category. Originally, when I started speedrunning any percent, pretty much all of my PBs, as you can see here, would be within about 2 months of each other. I even had 2 of them that were within a week, and runs would never go over that 2-month period by long at all. Now, after getting my 1450 monument run, my progress in any percent came to pretty much a halting stop. So yeah, that's just a little bit embarrassing. I just was not able to get a PB for literal years, and in the time that it took to get this next PB, I started running AA, got multiple world records for it in hardcore since nobody plays it, got world records in hardcore for all bosses, Mina Chunk, and Hero of the Village because, yet again, nobody plays hardcore, and just so much has happened since that last PB, but at long last, I finally have an any percent run to show you all. So here's that run. Now, as the run starts here, I just have to say this first. This run was so insane in like so many different ways. So first of all, it was a mapless, which because I play single instance, like I don't even get that many maplesses. I mean, that's not that strange, but you know, still cool. It takes me forever to find it though. But probably the coolest thing about this run is that I had literally not speedran for a week before getting this run. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. I had done like some practice runs, which are just daily runs where I just do a run to completion, like basically the Curryway challenge except daily. But besides that, I had not done any speedrunning, and I ripped this seed within 8 minutes of the recording, which is why I'm able to have the entire like session recording in the video, like the second video that doesn't have the commentary. But I just thought that that was insane, because when I think about getting a PB, I always think about it being on like a big session of grinding runs and just like finally getting one after I'm really locked in. But like this run, you'll see right here when I'm crafting, like it is so bad. I'm so rusty. And like even though I'm rusty because I hadn't speedrun for a week, it does not excuse just how bad this crafting was. It was atrocious. I mean, like, the door craft and everything. Oh, it was bad. And then up here, I don't think anything of this run because I see a ravine up here that's fake. But then I end up like actually getting a magma ravine on pretty decent pace actually. I wasn't really like in this run, I wasn't really paying attention to the timer at all, but I realized like as soon as I entered the Bastion, like just how good this run was. Not because the overworld is amazing, but you'll see it in a second here after this pretty scuffed portal. I don't know, like again, even though I had not speedrun for a bit, I don't understand how I mess up this portal. Like, I was trying to do something fancy and just, like, messed it up. Also, this stupid fish gets in the way. Like, what are we doing? Get out of my way. Like, I just, like, I for some reason thought that if I tried to do that, it would make obsidian. I don't know what was going on with my brain then. But at the end of the day, I get the portal done. It's a 2:30 enter, which is alright. I would prefer, like, a little bit faster, but I'm usually just going for, like, a sub 3. And I spawned 3 blocks from my Bastion. And not only that, but it's also housing. Which, like, honestly, and I even, like, scuff up holding up my pie chart here and then, like, grab blocks and stuff. Oh my god. Like, the start of this run was so scuffed, but thankfully, like, nothing actually went horrendously wrong. But, like, honestly, getting this Bastion was so deserved at this point because I have had so many runs in the nearest past where it has been like an AA run or a practice run and I'll get a good seed, but then any run that's in any percent, I just can't get a good nether. It's just impossible. So I was super excited to finally get a Bastion spawn in an any percent run and like actually be able to have a cool seed. Now, this was also interesting because before recently, I had always like dug up to these gold blocks, but recently have been like actually pushing them to myself like a smart player, and somehow they just like don't come to me. I don't know what happened here, but they're just gone. I lost a fair bit of time there, so that was kind of bad. But either way, we're already starting to trade with the piglins at under 4 minutes, which isn't crazy pace by any means, but for me, this was pretty solid. And considering I lost the 2 gold blocks above, and how bad my rates have been on some runs, this run, the trades were so good. Like, I literally almost had 2 stacks of string, a fair bit of fire res and stuff. Like, oh, it was beautiful. Beautiful trades. Now, unfortunately, the only issue that I had from this Bastion is that I didn't get enough obsidian. Also, my goodness, these piglins run away. Like, get out. But I literally only get 14 obsidian, 4 of which were from that chest, meaning I basically got enough for my portal just from the trades alone. And fortunately, that didn't end up causing problems later. But originally, I was like, when I was in the Bastion, I was kind of like, oh, that's a problem. Now, this right here also was a bit of a mistake in the run, because right here, I had all the trades I needed. I had all the string, all the fire res, enough obsidian for 1 portal, the pearls, and I come back down after looking in the fort because I just hadn't got a good look at my inventory and just assumed I had to be missing something. So I probably lost I think I lost about like 11, 12 seconds there or something like that. Not too bad, but just definitely a misplay. I need to get better at like inventory management. But at this part of the run, this is where I assume that, okay, this is where the run's gonna die. It's gotta die somewhere. And then the terrain just opens up. Like, I genuinely thought that it was just gonna be a wall I was gonna have to dig through, and the fortress is right there. Now, as I'm getting to the fortress here, I intentionally was trying to not look at my timer, because I try not to so that I don't get myself even more nervous than I already am. But on this run, even though I didn't know what time it was, I was still so nervous. And just for some context, I'm pretty sure my best fortress enter before this was a little over 6 minutes. I haven't documented it well, so I'm not 100% sure about that. So this run was like almost half a minute better than my best ever fort enter, which is a lot. And even though I didn't know that because I wasn't looking at the time, I still was just so nervous because I knew this run was really good even without seeing the timer. And that ends up causing probably the biggest time loss of this run, which is that after I craft this bed here with terrible crafting because of my nerves and how much I was shaking at this point, I just kept hesitating on blaze bedding here. Like, I saw the particles that it was about to spawn, so I hesitated because I didn't want to, like, have a blaze spawn on me and just, like, two-tap me. And then right here, I started losing a bunch of hunger because I thought that guy was the one who was a one-shot. There's all these skeletons on the bridge. And honestly, probably the biggest clutch of this run was the fact that those 2 skeletons started fighting each other. Because if that didn't happen, I'm pretty positive that this run would have just died right here and then. But fortunately, that doesn't happen. I use up like all my food, but at the end of the day, I was alive. I believe at this point I'm at 4 and 8 because I had about like pretty much average rates the entire time here. And even when I get back to the spawner, I just was too scared to blaze bed. I see that it's going to spawn soon, and I was just too scared of it spawning on me and just instantly dying because I'm on hardcore. So not only do I craft my Eyes of Ender, like burn this stuff, I even, when they have spawned already, take the time to make my portal. Which, like, I don't know why I did this. I mean, I understand I was nervous, but I end up getting, like, multiple one spawns here because of how long I hesitate. So that's probably the most frustrating part of this run, is just I don't blaze bed, and even when I do, I'm not breaking the fire. Like, I do nothing right here. Like, honestly, the fact that I got a PB with this fortress split that lasts like 3 minutes long is just kind of frustrating, but I mean, at least the rest of the run was relatively fine compared to this. And fortunately, both of those blazes drop, so I am at 7 rods at this point. Also, my fire res runs out here, and I didn't even realize that because of how nervous I was, which is kind of funny. Fortunately, that didn't cause any problems. But yeah, so we're out of the nether, have 7 rods, meaning I can have a few break. And because of my nerves, yet again, just the most accurate eye measurement ever. I literally am like 2 pixels to the left, but I just account for that in my second one so that it's like pretty accurate at least. I measure it and I see that it is like over a 3-degree angle. So for once in my life, I'm actually pretty close to the stronghold. But unfortunately, both of the eyes are gone. So at this point, I need every eye I have, or I need the portal frame to have one. And I also need food. But if I'm being entirely honest, at this point in the run, I was so, like, nervous and just trying to not focus on the time and how, like, good of a pace this run was, that so many things just kind of, like, faded from my mindset. Like, I completely forgot about the fact that I might run out of eyes as I got to this portal. I wasn't thinking about, like, the time. I hadn't looked. I looked, like, a little bit later in the fortress, a bit before I actually left. But, like, I didn't realize that I was nearly at the stronghold at, like, 10 minutes. I was trying not to look, and I could not think properly at this point. I was just so focused on just the very next step. Just find the stronghold. I find it here finally, and then the eye breaks. But again, I'm not thinking about my eye count. So obviously, like, watching back the run, I realized the significance of that. I now need a 1 eye on the portal. But me in the run, I was not thinking about that at all. I had just, like, completely forgotten about that in my mind. I was so locked into the run, I forgot. So I get in the stronghold here. I'm locking in. I'm trying to just finish off the run. And I still have not looked on my timer at this point. I do my preemptive, and it kind of, I don't think I did it quite right in this case. I'm not very good at preemptive, unfortunately. So I go down this direction. It's not looking promising. I go back. I think I check a couple other paths here. I don't really find anything. And I'm not too concerned about the run yet, but this is about the part where I start looking at my timer and I start realizing, like, I need to find the portal, and, like, soon. I think, like, about here, once I finish looting off this part of the stronghold, where I thought my preemptive was leading me, is where I start realizing, like, we're starting to get close to 12 minutes. I've only got a couple minutes to get in the end and try to beat the dragon if I want to be able to get a sub 14 and break the next minute barrier. Because even though I wanted, obviously, like, any PV would have sufficed, I really was hoping to be able to get a sub 14, because every run I've had up to this point has beaten the next minute barrier all the way since my 2540 down to my 1450. So I really wanted this run to be a sub 14. And fortunately, I finally find the portal room down this path that I had forgotten about, and it's a 2-eye. Again, I had not been thinking about it, so I didn't even register the fact until, like, right now that the run literally could have died if it didn't have those 2 eyes. But fortunately it did, and I'm, in the end, still quite a bit shaky. This actually was really funny. I literally get to mid here, and I thought I got disoriented, so I literally, before placing the obsidian, opened my F3 to make sure that I'm facing northwest, or north-south, which I just thought was kind of funny because I've never done that before. And I also end up taking direct damage from the dragon's breath here because I wasn't playing with audio at the time. But at this point in the run, my nerves really subsided. Now, honestly, I think the main reason I kind of stopped being nervous here was really just because at this point, the run was basically just dependent on if the dragon perched, which was something out of my control. I knew and was pretty confident that if it did actually perch, I would be able to one cycle just fine, and it was just up to the game at this point. And fortunately, one of the few times that I actually made it to the end on PB pace and needed the dragon to perch, the one time that it was as important as ever, it actually did. So, enjoy the one cycle. With the run being over now, there were a couple of things I wanted to quickly mention before I finish this video here. Now, one of those was that this run was actually supposed to have my first ever live reaction after a run, because I put my headphones on after the run ended. But of course, OBS decided to switch my microphone source on me for whatever reason, even though it was literally working just a couple weeks ago. So I just basically talked about how excited I was that it was over a minute faster, not a micro PB, and also tabbed out to look at my OBS, which is why it paused a bit in the end screen. So that sucks. But the other thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that I still have been no calc and also like haven't used the wall up to this point. And really that was just to keep a long story short, because I didn't feel like my 1450 was all that impressive with how much luck it required, which obviously, I mean, Minecraft speedruns are luck dependent, but I just felt like I could do better and really wanted to do better before feeling like I deserved to move on to using a calculator in the wall. And looking back now, I definitely do regret taking as long as I did to switch to those things, but at the same time, the fact that it took this long to get this PB does make this PB like so much more meaningful. I mean, 2.5 years of grinding to get a single PB just makes this run by far the most meaningful PB I've ever had. Not necessarily my most favorite, but definitely the one that is the most impactful and means the most to me, that I was finally able to break that long streak. With all of that out of the way, that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover in this video, and I do apologize for how long-winded it is, especially the ending here. There just was a lot of things I wanted to talk about, and this run just took so long to get, so there was just a lot to cover, but I appreciate you guys sticking around with me, and hopefully now that I'm going to start using the wall and calc very soon, hopefully my next PB doesn't take very long at all. So I'll hopefully see you fellas soon.